This is an executive technical summary of sorts of the talk of WebOS, Web Operating System for Collaboration, and its ecosystem. So what's this project about? Let me give a use case first. Three guys meet by coincidence on a blog. They've never met in real person. The blog is about comic art. They get to chatting. They like working with one another. They decide to collaborate on the greatest graphic novel of all time. So, in the use case for the software we want to put together, one of them goes off to one of the cloud computing services and instantiates a server very inexpensively, a couple bucks perhaps. And now they have on that server a shared file system, shared chat, a website to publish on, all those sorts of things. Each of them opens their browser, and from their browser, something unusual, they launch various free software programs you're familiar with today that aren't usually thought of as part of a browser. Maybe they'll launch OpenOffice or Inkscape to do graphics, or the GIMP, something like that. But because they've launched from the browser, each of these things will be talking to the remote file system. Programs like Inkscape has features for shared editing sessions. This actually is partially true today. You can have a sort of shared virtual whiteboard using that drawing program. Because you launch it from the browser, it uses that server as a hub, and so on. All of these programs are, in that sense, ported to the web operating system. Now, how do we get from here to there? Conceptually, what I just described is actually kind of simple. I mean, it sounds sophisticated and 21st century and all fancy, but in terms of the number of lines of code that have to change, in terms of the technical difficulty of designing the server for this thing, there are no really incredibly hard problems there. There's not a huge amount of work to do, but there are problems. It's work that spans over many, many different programs. We have to make changes to OpenOffice. We have to make changes to Inkscape. We have to make changes to OpenMovie Editor. We have to make changes to FontForge. We have to make changes to on and on down the line. And we do have to be sort of careful to make those changes in a coherent and carefully designed way, so that these programs are all interoperable, so that the server actually works, and so that the resulting design of an operating system is kind of sane, is up to date with many decades of computer science research and development on similar projects. So what we are proposing to do with initial grant monies is to begin to experiment to see about bringing that about. And we do that by actually beginning this list of programs, identifying what things we want to be ported to a WebOS for collaboration, and beginning to develop the list of the list of features that need to be accounted for files and messaging and so on. And to treat this as a big matrix of checkboxes, and let's get all of these things together. So we need to create, and this is what we're proposing to do, a managerial infrastructure that includes sort of materials explaining the basic idea, explaining the design as it stands so far, providing forums for people to come and contribute design ideas, to critique the design as it's there, to respond and let us know how they feel about it, and to also coordinate the various many projects. And finally, this sort of website we propose to create should have tracking features, managerial features to keep track of progress, to explain how budget is being spent, and so on. In this initial period, we'll build that sort of website infrastructure and also begin to contact and communicate with at least some of the projects in our long list of programs we'd like to port to the WebOS, and see how they feel about it, see how enthusiastic people are about the idea, how readily they grasp the basic idea, and what resources they have or need in order to do their part of making it real. We can report all of this information, this managerial perspective, back to the various granting organizations. Also, of course, solicit their technical feedback and proceed from there, perhaps, in continuations of the project. I hope that was short enough.